Okay everyone, welcome to this video. I was very excited and scared. I mean, you guys read the title of this video, you guys know what's happening. We're gonna be reading romantasies. I actually pulled up a whole definition because it has its own Wikipedia page. Romantasy is a genre of fiction combining romance and fantasy. Sales of the genre are widely driven by promotion on social media, particularly the part of TikTok known as booktok. Romantasy authors are largely women, as is the market, and the genre is known for representing minorities. Anyway, what does that mean for us and in this video? So in general, I feel like there's a whole movement of like romance book readers shifting towards being introduced into the fantasy world through romantasy. And I find that very interesting because I've been a fantasy reader since the ripe age of like 9 or 10 or whenever the Rainbow Magic series came out. I thought it would be interesting as me, a fantasy reader truther, trying to get into romantasy. In this video, I read some of like the most popular, upcoming, and interesting romantasy books, and I'm gonna try to rank them on their romance-ness, and I'm going to be rating the fantasy, and I'm gonna be trying to give like recommendations. Okay, so in no particular order. Actually, there is an order. It's the order that I read them. Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. It's about a professor named Emily Wilde. She goes to this random town that supposedly has like fairies. She wants to be the first one to make the first ever encyclopedia, which we love, women in higher academia. And while she's there, her academic rival, which is another professor, also comes. That's the romance part. This is actually the book club book for February for my book club that's on Fable. It's called Sunnykim's Book Club. Okay, join or else. I'm actually gonna read it on Fable. I didn't know you could do that. You can read ebooks on Fable and like annotate within the book, and everyone else in book club can also see your annotation. Hi, good morning. You know what? This is the first time you've ever spoken. I'm 30% of the way through Emily Wilde now. I'm enjoying the book, except for the fact that it low-key feels like I'm reading a research article because you low-key are. It's like her field notes, and I'm literally having war flashbacks to school. If you like Divine Rivals, I feel like you would like this book. It almost reads just like a normal contemporary book, except there's just like a little bit of magic. I'm gonna be so for real. I actually could not care less about the fairies in this book. So I was getting a little bit bored in the beginning because I was like, when is the man showing up? The academic rival, when is he showing up? The man, the myth, the legend. And then he showed up. And all I have to say is give me the Emily Bumblebee prequel book. I just know. I can sniff it like a dog. Hugh has been in love with her forever and homegirl has no idea. She has no idea. Welcome back. It's sunny in the kitchen. I think that I'm approaching the halfway mark. I could not care less about what is actually happening in the plot of this book. I low-key don't even know what's happening. It's very slice of life. Like, this is what I imagine Stardew Valley to feel like. Okay, weird comparison, but if you like Carden from The Cruel Prince, I feel like you would vibe with this book. Apparently, I'm 83% of the way through Emily Wilde, and I literally have whiplash when I tell you that the burn was barely burning. Like, it was just like offhanded comments like here and there. I think it's because we're just in her point of view. She's so oblivious, so dense. So to me, I'm like, you're literally an unreliable narrator. I just know this man is pining for you, groveling, kissing the feet, and she's writing about the mushrooms. But like suddenly there was a love confession. I was like, where did this come from? Like literally nothing was happening in the plot, and then suddenly, if you guys have read this book, freaking the axe. Oh my god, I was like gonna throw up. I'm back with the final report because I finally finished. I was really skim reading by the end, but I mean, like, what else is new? I must have the attention span of like a middle school boy. I feel like it was so good like in theory, but then in practice, here's what the tea is, substitute teacher. The tea is that I was promised an academic rivals to lovers, and it wasn't really an academic rivals to lovers. Homeboy has been playing the long game. If there was a whole book just about their origin story, like them meeting and everything, like I think I would have been way happier because low-key, like what the hell happened in this book plot-wise? I don't know a single thing that happened. But I saw someone say that he is like a mix of Howl from Howl's Moving Castle and Carden from The Cruel Prince, which is so true. Like imagine Howl's personality, but then like you shove that into like a Build-A-Bear Carden, and I feel like that is Wendell. And then Emily's like giving nothing girl. Like it's like reverse Grumpy Sunshine, but it's not really like grumpy. Like, she's just like really mellow. Okay, so that was Emily Wilde. No, if you're in the book club, then you know. Like, I said it perfect. It was just, it felt like Animal Crossing Stardew Valley vibes if it was in a book. For the romance, I rated it a 7 out of 10. I guess there is such a thing as too slow of a slow burn. I don't think actually the slow part of the slow burn was the problem. I think it was the burn part, as in like there was just no burn. Like the burn was ice cubes. Like the candle was already halfway melted when we started the book. I wish that we had seen it from the very beginning. Fantasy, I also rated it a 7 out of 10. A little magical, a little boring. Oh, this is what I've written. This town would be like those beautiful caves you see where it's like, oh, that's cool. But the coolest part is that you don't have to go. I like people who do like cave explorations and it's like, wow, like once in a lifetime, like people love those freaking cave expeditions. Then like also people just like have the most horrid, catastrophic cave incidents ever you hear about in the news. And it's like, oh wow, you know the best part about cave exploration is that you don't have to do it. If you guys haven't Googled the Nutty Putty cave incident, don't. All in all, everything about this book was like lukewarm. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. You guys know mental health is something that is very, very important to me. Exhibit A, this journal that I literally pour every single one of my thoughts into. It helps so much with my anxiety and catastrophic thinking. I genuinely think that every single person on the planet, doesn't matter who you are, what you're going through, every single person would benefit from therapy. I've been going to therapy for 1 year. I genuinely don't know what I would do without it. I am living such a better, happier life now, and I never thought that I'll be able to get to that point, and it's literally all because of therapy. I know how scary it can be to start therapy, especially if you like just don't know where to begin. There's a lot of friction, I feel like, especially going to talk to like pretty much a stranger who you don't know, like sitting in front of them face to face and then having to like open up about all of these things. Definitely not an easy thing to do at all. That's why I love BetterHelp. I love how much they're like eliminating all these barriers. BetterHelp will connect you with a licensed therapist. All you need to do is go onto their site. You can use my link, which is betterhelp.com/sunnykim. They make it so easy, and they walk you through the entire thing. You literally just fill out a little questionnaire, help identify what your needs are, your preferences for a therapist, all of this kind of stuff, and they uses all that information to match you with a therapist, usually within 48 hours, which is such an amazing time turnaround. The best part is that you can do it all from the comfort of your home. You can go onto your phone, laptop, whatever else device, and you can have your therapy session via phone call, video call, or even messages, whatever's most comfortable, convenient, and doable for you. It's literally the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. My favorite part about BetterHelp is that if you're not vibing with your therapist, which it's so important to find a therapist that's actually right for you, you can switch therapists at any time, no questions asked, no added charges or anything. So let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your home. All you need to do is visit betterhelp.com/sunnykim or choose sunnykim during sign up, and you'll get a special discount on your first month. I'll have all the links and everything you need to know in the description as well. So thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring. Okay, next was The Big Fish Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a romantasy in a world where werewolves, vampires, and humans all exist. Follow a girl who is a vampire. She is like kind of collateral between like vampire-human relations, and she spent her life living among humans. Now she's an adult and she's sent away to be married to the head alpha of the werewolf pack because of relational reasons. I'm stupid. The book is literally called Bride. How did I not know that this was a marriage of convenience trope? Which, as you guys know, if you know me, is one of my least favorite tropes. I, for some reason, just don't like. I really don't like marriage of convenience trope. It literally starts out like, I have to marry this freaking werewolf. But you know what? I'm still willing to stick it out. I do have a prediction for what I think is gonna happen. It's again a trope that I don't like. Now I'm remembering why I don't like reading werewolf books and stuff. It's because of the whole like, it's the whole mate trope. It icks me out so bad. Just the concept of like mates, because I don't know what it is. It's like so icky to me. People just get so possessive and they're like, oh, my mate, my mate. And I'm like, that is so gross to me. They're totally having like a Bella Edward moment where they like first meet and he's like, you smell that? Then we overhear a conversation where he's like talking to one of his, I don't know, one of his people. And he's like, no, like I didn't mistake it. Like I know that's what she is. And I'm like, they're mates. They are. If I'm wrong, you guys can slap me across the face. I hope I'm wrong. This specific kind of boy character is the exact character that gives me the ick. Leader, like freaking the alpha of his pack and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why that makes me want to throw up. But other than that, it low-key just reads like a normal contemporary romance. Like it feels as close to contemporary romance as you can get with it having vampires and werewolves in it. Do I look like a founding father? I'm 27. Oh my god, already 27. Percent of the way through Bride. At the beginning, I was hesitant, but actually low-key it's like picking up because there's actually a secret plot in the background of like the romance plot. Her trying to solve this mystery. I'm like interested in that. I look like Humpty Dumpty. It's not really the forefront like at the moment. Also, there's a kid. Like the guy has a little sister, and you guys know that I've had baby fever since I was a baby, and she's like starting to care. It's giving found family a little bit. It's all in Misery's point of view, but at the beginning of the chapter they always have some little thing at the top that's like kind of in his point of view. So like we really don't know anything. He's giving nothing. He's not even around. Like he doesn't even go here. And so this is like the crumbs that they're giving us, and low-key I'm kind of eating it up, I'm not gonna lie. Could not care less about her is what it seems like. But then you read those little snippets in his point of view and you realize that it's secret obsession trope. Like, I guess this is like the theme in this video, but if you like Cardin, I don't know what else to call the trope. I'm gonna call it like secret obsession trope. Like you act like you're indifferent or like you hate them, but then you find out that they're secretly obsessed with you, like because you snoop in the room and you find something incriminating. You find something that could ruin this whole man's career. That happened to Cardin and it happened here too. So if you like that trope, I think that you would eat this book up. So far it's pleasantly surprising me by things because going into this, the bar was in hell. If she doesn't fumble the bag with this, I might just turn into an Allison Hazelwood girl. Still still rocking Humpty Dumpty core, but anyway, I'm like at the halfway point, and this book is low-key surprising me. I thought I would hate it. I was very prepared, but I'm being quite pleasantly surprised. I think that it's because the marriage of convenience trope, it's not even really marriage of convenience. Like, they barely even see each other, and they don't have to like do like married people things, really. I think that's why I'm like okay with it. Okay, actually, I think that the real reason why I like this is because ever since I watched that movie Upgraded, Archie, I've been picturing him as Lo. It's been glorious. Let's address the elephant mate in the room. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. He has no chill, no chill. It's been okay because like nothing's really happened. But literally all I keep imagining is this man. Do you guys see? Can I just say, from when he was Mal from Shadow Bone, like I actually could not care less about this man. And then something about seeing him in that freaking movie. Guys, look at this one. She makes him want to draw again. I'm 68% of the way through. I don't know if this is gonna be a series or not. I kind of want a book or one of the side characters, one of Lo's friends. I don't know why I feel like I would fall in love with him. I kind of want him to have his own book and have his own romance. I feel like that'd be really cute. Okay, if you haven't read this book, skip this part. I just finished chapter 22, part where the two of them are like trying to hook up. It's pretty much like, it's like interspecies. Like they're two different species. And they're talking about why like logistically it's just not possible, like they're physically incompatible. Anyone who's read this chapter, can you guys explain to me if that made sense? I'm like so confused and I don't even want to know. I was not even curious. Hold up. Hold up. Chapter 3, what chapter is this? Chapter 25? I just need to immediately take back everything that I said because now we're learning. Now we're getting an anatomy lesson. Could I have gone the rest of my life without this knowledge in my head? It's not free real estate here. I can't afford it. I have final exams next week. And now I'm gonna be thinking about knots. I finished Bride last night. But I surprisingly liked it more than I thought that I would. I give it like a 3. Also like the background mystery that was happening. It just got like info dumped at the end what happened. So that was a bit underwhelming. The person that I predicted is gonna get a romance did not. They teased another romance. I don't know if there's gonna be a second book in the series. Or if there's gonna be like companion books. So that was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. A roller coaster. The romance I actually rated an 8 out of 10. Like I think it was better than the Emily Wilde romance because at least it was giving something, you know? Like the little Lo crumbs at the beginning of every single chapter was carrying this book on its bare back, like it was eating. If it didn't have that, I genuinely think I would have like DNF'd the book. I think the best thing that this book did was that it was all in one POV and then we had those little crumbs. You know, I love when things are not spoon-fed to me and we have to actually grovel at Allison's feet. And then for the fantasy, I rated it a 2 out of 10. It was literally a contemporary book that was dressed up as a fantasy book for Halloween. It wasn't fun for me like other fantasy books are because it was barely a fantasy world and it didn't like offer anything new. I think this is a good gateway book into just anything non-contemporary if you like have only been in contemporary your entire life. I feel like this would be like a spring jacket, which is a good transition piece. The next book I read was actually a second book in the series. The first book is This Woven Kingdom and I read that book right when it came out. And then the second book came out, which is These Infinite Threads, and I decided to read that book. It's in a world where there's a kingdom and they conquered like the Jinn population, which Jinn are like the magical creatures. The main character is actually the secret last remaining hope for the Jinn people. She's like the princess or the heir, but she has to live in secret and is undercover as pretty much like a slave. One day she has a chance serendipitous encounter with the prince of that entire kingdom named Cameron. Obviously has no idea who she is, doesn't know that they're actually arch enemies. She's the reason his whole empire, his whole family can be taken down. And his family is the reason that her family is all dead. And they end up just having chemistry right off the bat. Forbidden love. Scorching, smoldering romance, let me tell you. If you loved An Ember in the Ashes, it's like a similar setup to that. Ember in the Ashes is a bit more like fantasy dystopia. The romance was an 8.5 out of 10. I actually really like the romance. This is by Tahira Mafi, by the way. She wrote Shatter Me, so if you know, you know. Those hoes had the best, like, do you know, like, arguably, except I won't argue about it, argue with the wall, best Disney movie, Hercules. You know those 3 hoes who are cutting those freaking life thread, snip snip? You could literally do that with the tension that was in this book. And fantasy, 8 out of 10. It was solid, but it wasn't like super relevant. It was just like a kingdom setting, but there like really wasn't any magic. Anyway, that was This Woven Kingdom, which sets us up to be reading now These Infinite Threads. I didn't know, but this series has the villain turned love interest trope. As in the first love interest was kicked to the curb and there's a second player, a hot new bombshell has just entered the villa. He is actually the enemy king of another kingdom. We don't meet him pretty much at all in the first book. The lore around him is there though. You know, like fear of the name only increases fear of the thing itself. Like that's him. The king even though he's like their age. He's a king because he committed patricide, okay? That's the reason. It's like a forced marriage between the girl and him. Just know that this character, the king, his name's Cyrus, he is exactly Aaron Warner meets Will Herondale meets Rhysand from ACOTAR. Okay, we've literally barely started and this is exactly delivering everything that I expected it to deliver. If you loved ACOTAR and ACOMAP, you would actually eat this book up. It's giving enemies to lovers banter. He definitely had like a traumatic childhood. This is like written in that way where like every other chapter, it like switches POV, kind of switches storylines, but then every single chapter ends with a cliffhanger. So it definitely 1,000,000% has that trademark Tahira Mafi, like addictive kind of writing, which I love so much. One thing about me is that I will eat up a villain turns love interest if that arc is done well. I feel like we're still uncovering all the layers to Cyrus, but I can already tell there's something deeper happening. I just want to know what the tea is. Like, I need to know what is up with this man. I know that I'm gonna fall in love with him. I just want to know why. He's a redhead, auburn head. I don't know what Professor Tahira Mafi puts into the tension between your characters, but whatever it is, it's the 8th world wonder. So I finished these infinite threads last night, 1 a.m. I stayed up, which is staying up for me because I'm a grandma. And what do I have here? It's the 3rd book in the series. That book was actually like no plot, just vibes for like 400 pages. I loved it. 4 stars. If you put Will Herondale and Aaron Warner, smushed it into one person, painted his hair red, that would be Cyrus. I'm hoping this is gonna be another no plot, just vibes book, but I'm just here to pick up my Cyrus Eliza endgame. I was looking at reviews and other people's reviews about this series and I like that we've all just collectively decided to ignore Cameron. We had chapters in his POV and I actually near the end could not care less. I've explained this in a video before, but like when I read books and there's like a couple in it that I really like, or like just a character who I like feel so strongly for, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I like physically feel this like electricity sensation in my body. I have tried to explain this to so many people in my real life and everybody thought I was crazy, but then I explained it in one video and so many people in the comments were like, I know exactly what you're talking about. So now I know where my people are. I think it's pretty rare to have a book like that for me these days, but when I feel it, that's a special book and it's so rare. But last night I was actually feeling it for some of the scenes with this man in it. You know that shattering was like a canon event in all of our lives. It's really giving that. It's like disgusting, sick and twisted to me how down bad, down ugly, 10 toes down he is. For Miss Girl, like she knows she's an it girl. Like the way that she has all these boys like literally chasing after her, running after her on their knees, begging for her. Crazy. So I finished in one day. In one night, the night before my final exam that's worth 50% of my mark. I thought this was a trilogy, so I thought this was the finale, but actually there's 2 more books and now I have to wait. And it's concerning because like why are like the only men who make me feel something in books the ones who are like the most self-destructive? Okay, so that was these infinite threads. The romance, I rated it a 10 out of 10. I was acting crazy. I was riled up. Gorilla grip chokehold on me, yes sir. I have written is Carrot Top Cyrus came and hit us like a semi-truck. She men are just not groveling like they used to and it's a shame for all of us. Fantasy, I rated it at 8 out of 10. I wasn't paying attention, but it did bring some spice. All this twisted glory. All I have written down for this is groveling. Capital G, groveling. James McAvoy in the fountain scene in Atonement. Anthony Bridgerton type of groveling. Romance was 9 out of 10 because there was not enough Cyrus content, although in this book we did get Cyrus POV. I love that. I love that we had 0 Cyrus POV in the 2nd book, and then after all the revelations, now we have his POV. Like, I like that way better than having the POV from the start. Fantasy, I rated an 8.5 out of 10 because at least in this book we saw some Selena Gomez, oh, it's magic. Now, the final and last book for this video. Also a big fish because I feel like this is a title that I saw going around a lot. I feel like it was a lot of people's gateway romantasy book. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I actually read this book and DNF'd it a while back when it first started like getting really popular. But for this video, I decided to pick it up another time. The romance is between the prince of the kingdom and then like a girl from the middle of nowhere slums. And then they're both contestants in like the trials of the kingdom. I finally started reading Powerless and I had to refresh myself about what was happening in this book. And now I remember everyone in this world does have magic. Like everyone has a power, and if you don't, then you're ordinary, and if you're ordinary, you're like killed off, exiled. Our main character doesn't have any magical powers, but in order to survive, she has been spending her whole life pretending that she does. She like tells people that she's a psychic, but it's just because she's like Sherlock Benedict Cumberbatch level observant. And then she meets the prince of the kingdom. He has the ability to like sense other people's powers. But there's like these trials every year that like lets these like people with their superpowers show off their superpower, and she ends up getting on the list to be in that competition after she like saves the prince. So now we're 30% of the way through, and I don't think the trials have like started yet. Her name's Peyton, his name's Kai. They just have like a lot of banter off the bat. I love my banter as much as the next girl does, but I like when my banter has to be like earned. One of them is like super closed off. They have to open up. But I feel like they were just like off the cuff. Maybe I need to see more about like the guy. I feel like there's nothing about him that's like really sparking my interest, making me like obsessed with him. Okay, am I tweaking? How are them two like acting so buddy-buddy with each other? I swear they like met each other like once. Like they had one encounter. Because why are they acting like they're best friends? Oh, you don't even know each other. Okay guys, don't kill me. We could all see this coming and it had to happen once in this video, but I think I had to DNF. Powerless. Again, I don't think there's anything like fundamentally wrong or problematic about this book. I just think that it's not for me. Like the actual plot of it is like so fun and interesting to me. Like we just started the first trial at 53% of the book. There was too much pre-gaming, but I just think it's the romance. You know what I realized? I don't like the fictional men who yap. He's yapping a bit too much and I feel like that is like boring to me. When you're in high school, this is like the couple. It's obvious to everyone that they like each other and they're probably gonna get together in like grade 9 and then definitely going to end before grade 12. And I think that it's like because the guy, I feel like I can see what the vibe is that we want. Like I feel like they want him to be like a Cyrus, Will Herondale, Aaron Warner kind of vibe. Has this kind of like cocky front, but you know that there's something more going on underneath the surface. And with him, I feel like he has that like same cocky energy, but it doesn't feel like there's anything else going on underneath. Like he's just like that. I think that a book that does this trope actually really well is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. Like I think it's like a very similar vibe. There's brothers, one is the king and then one is supposed to be like the cruel one. They don't have a choice in it and it makes him be a monster, but you know that he's not actually like that. I know that everyone loves this book, like so many people are obsessed with it. So maybe if you're going from romance to fantasy, I can see why people would like this book, but I think if you're going from fantasy into romantasy, this book would just not hit. You've just seen so many other fantasy books done like this that are done better, including like the romance subplot. Yeah, I'm sorry. The rumors are true. Everything you've heard is true. I DNF'd this book. I was not a strong soldier. Romance, I rated it a 2 out of 10. Like I said, I think I could really see the vision, but it was just executed. The yapping, the professional yapping. When I say that, I just mean that I feel like a lot of like the banter and the chemistry was just like spoon-fed to us when I would much rather it play out and burn more organically. It was definitely like insta chemistry, although I will give this book brownie points for the fact that the meet cute was like my favorite meet cute, which is that one of them robs the other person or like pickpockets the other person. The brownie points for that. It was a great start actually, but I think that the romance was just like such a big part of the book and I just didn't like it. The fantasy, I rated an 8 out of 10. I think it had a lot of potential because one thing about me deep in the Sunny Kim iceberg is that I love X-Men so much, and the powers in this book reminded me a lot about like the mutants in X-Men, like make illusions and like make multiple versions of themselves. Like some people can like steal other people's powers, like that. That's very X-Men vibe. Like that's why it's like so sad because I think it had so much like good potential. I think from most romancy to most similar to your classic fantasy, probably be Bride, Powerless, and then it would be Emily Wilde, and then it would be the 3 books in the This Woven Kingdom series, like all of them together. So that's it. Those are all the books and all of my thoughts. Anyway, that's gonna be all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please feel free to comment your opinion, book recommendations. You can follow my socials, are all linked in the description. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! Good fortune, Toby!